always had his good ties. I won't commend him on that. I get jealous of those, and I get visions to get put on. Theo, you need to start doing that.
I got you, sir.
As we begin on this, our last committee meeting of the year, we want to be mindful and prayerful of our districts and what goes on.
All right.
And we know that as fortunate as we are, there are those in our district that don't enjoy some of the things that we do, and tragedies do occur. I've seen that in some of the street racing stuff. We had a tragic train accident there on 32nd Street in Vestment last night. That totally unexpected. Conductor trainee getting a piece of metal from a passenger. That was pretty weird. That's hard to understand and believe. So we have those things. So let's go to the Lord. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for these assembled here today. Dear Lord, thank You for the ability and for the opportunity to act on Your behalf to benefit the citizens of our great county. Dear Lord, those who are sick and infirm, those who have experienced tragedies, and those that are less fortunate than us, dear Lord, we lift them up to You. And dear Lord, please hold them in Your bosom and to guide them and to help them to see the wonderful things that happens through You. Dear Lord, please be with our decision-making process as we go today and keep us and guide us this holiday season and every day. We ask These things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. You're first.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have two economic development items. One is a company called Reconserve. They're coming in right now. And Reconserve is a company associated with Smuckers. You have to have, if it's an uncrustable, you have to have crust, right? And so they take the crust and process it into food for animals and feed. And so they are going to be locating at Jeff McCullough on lot 20. I believe there's at least a conversation in the process, and really good support mechanisms for Smuckers. Smuckers came and met with us as well. And so this will be a sales and use tax during construction. I'll hand it over to the attorney to finish off anything on this.
Sure. Hey, good morning. My name is Brandon Divian. I'm an attorney at Bradley. I'm representing Reconserve here in front of you this morning. As Commissioner Ammons mentioned, this project will be supporting the Smuckers operation out at the industrial park. Just briefly, over 3 years, there's expectation of 29 new jobs, each earning at least an average of $70,000 annually. So these are good paying jobs. The total investment is about $30.8 million, so it's a good investment out there. But any other questions there, we can go in a little further. We're just only asking for the sales and use tax abatement, which would be 5%, 1% of the county, and then the 4% from the state. But I'm going to turn it over to Leon Idris, and he's going to just briefly explain anything that y'all may have questions-wise to his company and his operations.
How long will the abatements be?
It would just be for the construction and transaction taxes. So once the construction and the investment ends, then that would cease then.
Hold on just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Excuse my tardiness. You still didn't answer the question. So what is the expected length of time? We're talking about tax abatement.
But I think we
I think through the end of 2024.
Through the construction, yes, ma'am,
So I'm assuming that the construction phase is probably like a year and a half?
yes, on the abatement application, we expect construction to begin at the beginning of the next year and then go through the end of 2024.
So you're looking at about $2 million.
It would be about, from the county perspective, about $150,000 would be the 1%. And then the county would expect to gain about $150,000 from the 1% of the non-educational. And then about $600,000 would be abated from the state portion of 4%. So about $750,000 all in, but about $150,000 sold in.
In 2 years.
Yes, ma'am, that'd be total, yes.
In 2 years.
And then the property tax, we're not abating property tax, so that property tax will come to us in 1 year or 3 years. Are there any other
I
questions?
move that.
I have a motion second, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, Jim, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next one, he's gonna stay with us
Yep.
right here. He's-
Me again.
So the next one is for a brownfield tax abatement, for a project called the Silos, which is, if you know where the Denham building is, not too far from Railroad Park. Big, black building up there next to the interstate. This will go next to it. It's on the old Sherman, concrete plant site. And this is going to be residential. This is only for a brownfield, tax abatement. And he'll explain a little bit more detail.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Ammons. So, pleased to represent, it's Nobu Parkside Residences, and Patrick Jackson, is here, CEO, and Tony, Cerise as well. It's an $80.5 million investment. It'll be, by large, 5-story, multifamily residential, building with approximately 315, apartments and a parking deck, adjacent to that. What we are asking in front of you today is a 4-year abatement of the ad valorem taxes. The city, a few weeks ago, has consented to the commission abating their tax ad valorem portion for 3 years as well, as along with a 10-year state abatement. The construction is set to begin Q2 or so next year and last through the end of 2025. And again, with the $80 million investment, and at least 6 employees as it relates to the apartments and potential for retail space. This would bring that high density area to that west side of Parkside, abutting I-65 there, and kind of really complete the Parkside area and bring in the young professional population that I know that the county and the city has been trying to bring in. I'd be happy to answer any questions or turn it over to these folks to introduce themselves.
So it's important to note that the only thing that we're doing here is based on it being a brownfield.
That's right.
That it's not producing very much,
That's right.
ad valorem right now. So this will make it where it will produce in the long term.
They do have their letter from ADEM as well for the cleanup that's been approved.
I had the motion, do I have a second?
So,
I'm sorry, you still have a question?
I move the brownfield abatement.
Yeah, you can.
so let me ask you, you said you're gonna be abating taxes for 4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much would that ever be?
800 and, or the state, or the county portion estimated 868,000 over those 4 years.
4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And then it go back?
Yes, it would start at accruing significantly more than that over the remainder.
And how many jobs you
6 jobs in the apartments, and then there's potential, working out with the ground floor to be retail. And so depending on if those, retail spaces are filled by, say, a restaurant or a boutique or whatever, there's potential for, additional jobs, part-time and full-time there as well.
said? Okay, I thought would it be a pool in that facility?
Yes.
I thought I seen that
Yes.
on,
A saltwater pool, right?
Yeah, it'll be a fully amenitized project, so about fitness, pool, nice green space in the middle courtyards, so.
because that's in my district, so that's why I was thinking that.
It is a great addition. If you remember, we supported, it was Lehman, and they have not only the living, space, multifamily, but also down below, they have some retail where, what is that, food?
Tasty town.
Tasty Town, another Packus, entity. That place is packed all the time, and it's a great addition to the area, and I think this is well. Yep.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Chairman, only as a courtesy to the body. Let's just move on this item, and then I'll speak to it.
I'll second it, but I do have a question.
You want to go ahead with your question?
Yeah, I'll second it, but, you said that the county's portion will be vetted 4 years
Yes, sir.
and the city's 3?
Yes.
Non-education.
Non-education,
Is that your question?
So, let me ask, and this is not for you, Mr. Lanier, in the, absence of Mr. Martin. I'd be interested in knowing if you can direct, Ms. Dixon to give us like a running total of the county's abatement, level. When I keep hearing abatement, the only thing that concerns me is, what the money looks like over an extended period of time. So that would be my only ask. Mr. Chairman, I would also ask of you that, as these economic development projects are developing, that the full committee, all 5 commissioners that make up the economic development committee, will be apprised of these projects. So then I think that can reduce the amount of questions that we have when we come to committee.
And to your point, I am going to ask for an executive session at the end of the day to have part of that conversation. That we would need to have that executive session. I just asked to go first because they were holding each other here.
No, I understand. But what I'm asking is any project moving forward,
Right.
that if we can be privy to that information, then I think that it would make everything a lot less encumbersome, and I think that it would move the meeting along smoothly. If we all just knew what we were talking about and getting into, some of these things we know are good for the county. We just want to see it duplicated in some other areas, and so I understand that. But just know that, Ms. Lanier, if we can get us a running tally of each of these tax categories, exactly how long, how much. And I think that would help us to make some real good decisions moving forward.
I have one more question for the gentleman. When we say the brownfield reclamation, how far are we gonna have to go down, or do we even know that yet? I mean, it was old concrete plant,
It
or?
was, yeah, there's 2 parcels, there's the old concrete plant parcel, then there's a smaller parcel between the Sherman site and Interstate 65. Both have their own environmental impacts to deal with. As far as the depth that we will have to excavate to remediate, it's unknown at this time. There'll be, some constant monitoring and construction, but we're estimating, between $2 and $2.5 million of cost just in the remediation.
Other than the concrete plant, what was that other parcel? Was it a gasoline service station or something like that?
Well, I think it was a part of the old gas plant, the old turbine plant there. That whole area was where the Denham building is as well, and so it's just got some lingering effects that we're just never taking care of.
I think the biggest and best part is that it can't be used for anything else until they actually do the voluntary cleanup, which is in process, and so it's.
How many acres is that?
It's 4.1 acres.
How long had that plant been there?
The Sherman site. The Sherman plant, I believe, started in the 40s or 50s.
My father.
And then, it went through several iterations since then, and then they shut down work in 2021.
Isn't it the same site, I think, the city when we were there, I think that when Sherman moved, then that's when this project was developed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're in place of it?
That's right.
Oh,
Any other questions?
I do, I have one question, this goes to Commissioner Scales. You asked for the coastal payments that we have that originate from this office, from this commission.
yeah, just not necessarily from this commission, I just wanna know, period, where are we with any all of it,
countywide abatements.
countywide.
And I think it's, if you do that, then I think it's important that you separate those that originate from this commission and those that originate in other economic development boards throughout the county that we are obligated to.
So,
So if they have Birmingham IPB.
So Birmingham IDB does it, Bessemer IDB does it, you know, the ones that originated JCEIDA in here, that I think that it's important that we differentiate and understand our reasoning behind abatements versus others' abatements. Because I see some abatements, but to be honest, be for the record, I see other economic development bodies that approve abatements that I would not consider to be abatements. So I think it's important that we differentiate between the county and what we do and what we originate and what originates in other areas.
well, as a matter of fact, to articulate what I'm trying to say, excuse me, Commissioner, let me be very clear for the record. My ask is strictly county, because it's like you have a downtown, industrial development board. I mean, I understand, I was chair of economic development, so I'm not interested in anything outside of the county proper. And so when we start abating taxes as an incentive to recruit businesses or to maintain those businesses, I wanna know where are we? Because you can only abate taxes for so long before it starts, you know, before it starts affecting your bottom line. So that's the reason why I wanna know. And if I had to say categorically, then I would like to see brownfield tax and that kind of thing. You want to just delineate it, you know what I mean? So then I can know exactly what type of tax incentive is being used in order for us to know what we are abating specifically. Does it make sense? Yeah, because if you start talking about ad valorem tax or some other type of tax, then, you know, it makes a difference. So I want to articulate, Mr. President, exactly what I'm asking for. Okay, since I made the ask, I don't want anything outside of Jefferson County. I want a delineation of what kind of tax that we are abating and what is the running tally in terms of the summary of it all. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, yeah.
Any other questions? I have a motion second on the third.
I'm ready to move you on.
All right, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, for information technology, I have one item that Sri is here for. We need to see if we can add it for the union. One item, but I'd like for him to explain it first.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners. We have one item for IT. It's Aspire Technologies. This contract has been approved by the personnel board yesterday afternoon. This is basically to provide for our network monitoring services, and we want to make sure that we have full continuity starting January 1st. So I really appreciate if you can please consider this and for approval for the commission.
And the priority is that this contract ends December 31st.
That's correct.
So for it to continue on, we need to go ahead and
And this is vital and critical for infrastructure monitoring across the country that we use. And one of the reasons is personal board did not meet in the month of November, so they met yesterday, and that's one of the reasons.
I move to approve on item. Mr. President.
Yeah, and I have a question.
I have a new item, new business that has been, so Michael?
Beverage case.
Beverage case. That didn't get on the agenda, that's been through the process, and then we're gonna add, if we could add both at the same time.
I'll amend my motion to do items.
So, hold on before you, okay. But I want to talk to you about that because some of the neighborhood folks, they haven't been privy to this ask about beer and wine license. This is for fire sale, right?
Yes, that's correct. Well, we sent out notices, that beverage case was originally scheduled for the November 17th meeting, that was canceled. So we sent out notices for that meeting, then we sent out notices again for this coming Thursday. So the notice has been out there for more than a month, but typically it's just 2 weeks.
Okay. We can take it, but I can tell you that the community has an objection to it. That's the reason why we can deal with it however you so choose, but they're not in support of it, which that can't come up before.
Yes, ma'am.
The public hearing has already been noticed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have unanimous consent for 2 items. Motion and a second.
And I have a question as it relates to, not necessarily a question, but you say that this came up through Shree, through the personnel board, is
Yes,
that right? So moving forward, if you and Mr. Chairman can make sure that my office, especially if we're doing something through the personnel board, since I was fortunate to be given that assignment, and we are the liaison for the personnel board, if you would help us so that we know what we're doing and we possibly could be of great support to you, your committee, Ammons, if we know what we're doing, okay? Very good.
I have a motion and a second. Still go through the call roll.
Yes, Commissioner Ammons?
Yes.
Commissioner Knott?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
I have a motion, do I have a
Go
motion
ahead.
for the IT? I have a motion, do I have a second? All in favor,
I
please
made
say
the motion, you were in a second.
I did.
You said,
Thank you.
aye. Joe, you want to?
We'll do it when we do it.
Okay. All right. And then the next I have, items, 1, 2, 3 are community agreements. Bell Center, Rockridge Fire, to put in a fire hydrant, and the Red Mountain Theater.
Move.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Dave. And just as a reminder, and I think Theo is prepared to support executive session at the end of our regular meeting. That concludes my report, sir.
Commissioner Knight.
Mr. President,
Yes.
can we start on one, since several of these categories are under Commission 1?
Unless you've got a lot of.
No, in other words, I'm sure Amelia is gonna make the adjustment, but like human resources, general retirement system, personnel board, that's on this agenda, it should be under 1. I think that can be a clean way to do it.
Sure.
That fell under the wrong category, and I addressed it.
That's okay. I was saying, so we keep going.
So you want to,
Yeah, no,
go ahead.
All right, so for the Public Works, Community Services, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, thank you, Jim. We have 2 items under Environmental Services. David?
Here
Okay.
I am. So
Do you have any questions about items 1 and 2?
it may be worthwhile for me to give a little background on number 1.
Yeah.
It's a large project. So, we've been planning this project for several years, planned a lot of that, work and the equipment's been replaced, it was built in the early 2000s, it's 25 years old. We put this project out for bid in April, our original estimate, and this was before the construction market really went crazy, first of the year, was 32 million. We got one bidder at 65 million. So, obviously we were not prepared from a value or cash flow or anything else to accept a one bidder 65 million project. We did in good faith, reduce the scope and negotiated with the contractor to try to reach a better resolution. Their offer was 54 million. We thought that was, again, not a good value for the county. So we went back, our design engineers and our staff and everything else, and really looked at the scope. reduced that to just the things that were very, very critical over the short term, took a lot of the items out that we thought we could delay, we could do in some separate projects to spread that out. So we put this project back out for bid, a couple months ago, and it's come in at the 34 million. We think this is consistent with, the needs facility. It fits within, the cash flow and everything else that we have for the system. So that's why we recommend this. We realize it's a large project, but we think it's appropriate, to replace a lot of that equipment that's out there. So, yeah, I'll answer any questions about that. But it's a big project.
So this is the original bidder at 62, and now we're down to 34.
This is, Max Books actually, when we redid this just recently, I think we got either 2 or 3 bids. Adams Robinson was the original bidder. They came back and did this, I think they were about 38. So Max Foot was the low bidder. We had more than one bidder on this last round. The original bidder actually came in at 38. So, tells you a little bit about sort of what the gap between that 54 and the sort of 38 was. I will say one of the other things to do is there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of electrical equipment in this, and getting delivery on that equipment can be a year plus. And so another thing we did, something unique for us, was we put in basically an admin period where we're going to award the contract, but there will be basically no construction activity for almost a year on that, just to get the equipment in. So what that does is it gets the overhead down, because the contractor's not carrying that overhead for an entire year before the equipment shows up. They don't have to keep all the, people and everything else.
So basically, and this is at Village Creek?
Yes.
And this is what I'm hearing you say is that it's equipment that's 20 or 25 years old that's in its useful life.
Yes, the UV, the disinfection, which is a huge part of that. Actually rebuilt one of the pump stations that I worked on 20 years ago, so worn out just like a lot of us around here. So, but yeah, it's, that mechanical equipment, you will get 15. If you get 25 years out of that kind of mechanical equipment, you're really pushing it, especially on some of the things like the disinfection. If it fails, it's an automatic permit failure. So, it's equipment that's really, really high risk. If it fails, you're going to have a big problem. Same thing with the electrical.
I appreciate your due diligence on this and refining it and recognizing that money matters and costs matter.
What's a little disconcerting to me is that we got equipment that lasts 20 years and our lines are 30.
So let me, are there any other questions? Okay. All right, so you gotta move in a second, but I'd still like to ask this question, David. What mechanisms do we use in order to put these bids out to the public? What mediums? What mediums do we use?
So we do a national system that puts that out on a national bid registry to make sure that.
What is the name of this national
I
system?
don't recall what it is, and I'll certainly get into that.
All right.
But the other thing we do, and this is I think more important, is that we contact our local contractors and any ones that we think may have an interest in something like this. We're contacting people across the southeast, larger contractors. So it really depends on the size. If it's a smaller contract, we're working the local people. If it's a larger contract like that, we're working regionally and even nationally to try to find those people, make sure that they know those bids are there.
All right, so do you use any kind of print mechanisms?
We do follow the, the law requires that we still use newspapers, and we legally required to do that. But we also use a lot of electronic too. The construction publications, those printed publications are really not widely distributed enough or active enough that people, they're really not all that effective. The printed media is really not all effective, so it's really electronic now.
So let me ask this question. If you have interested companies, however, they're not contacted by your office, do you send like a mass distribution to, all of your vendors so that they're made aware or they're privy that this type of, opportunity exists?
So we do two things, is talking to the AGC locally here, and, we also have a requirement that these, especially to get the subcontractors, is that they work through the BCIA, to know these bids are coming out, and they solicit, the subcontractors in particular. And what we think that does is it ultimately builds, subcontractors into contractors. And so that's an important part of our program as well, is just working with BCIA.
Okay, so what then I'm gonna ask of you, Mr. Chairman of Economic Development, is moving forward, I'd like for BCIA to start attending our meetings, based upon, those questions instead of asking for minority participation. Then what I would prefer is for them to make a report. Matter of fact, do we give funding to BCIA as a county?
I don't know.
Okay, well, as Chair of Economic Development, you need to know that. And
I
so,
feel we deal with them at, with Birmingham and the Birmingham IDA.
well, I get that, but do we give them money before I start making a demand for them to come to these meetings?
I don't
Do you know, Ms. Dixon, if we give money to BCIA? Well, no, well.
Why, you know, if you're gonna give them money to one group, you need to give them all.
Oh, I agree. And in fact, that's what we were talking about last week.
If indeed you're going to start to change in policy, that's something that we all need to look at and discuss.
Well, here's the point. Then I would like to see a copy of what the policy is, because if, then the policy may need to be amended. Because the bottom.
Then it's worth the conversation.
Well, it's more than just a conversation, it's an action. And so what I'm saying is that, if that's our go-to card, is to say that we are coordinating our efforts with BCIA, then we need to figure out, well, what does that look like? I mean, you know, we don't want to haphazardly say that we're looking for minority contractors, when in fact, they don't owe us anything. You know, if we don't have some sort of partnership in stone that we have as, the county, then I don't have a right as a county commissioner to ask them to come to this meeting, because I'd like to know that. And we have county projects that I believe that whether you are African American, woman, disadvantaged in any way, then we need to make sure that, you know, they may not can do the whole, but I'm interested in these subcontractors. I'm sure that Mr. President is too. So I agree. You know, if we take care of EDA and some of the others, I'd like for us to do Birmingham Business Resource Center and all of them. I mean, we just want to be able to have every extension of this county that we can be able to recruit some of these businesses that are typically disadvantaged. We want to be able to do it, small business. Don't you agree? So if it's a policy, I'd just like to see the policy. Yeah, we are a policy-making body. Okay, so we got a first and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All right, if you all don't mind to, just want to take you back a little bit, but that's the reason why I asked Mr. President. I thank him for kindly obliging me. I'd like for you to go to page 11 in your packet. Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, good morning, everyone.
And for human resources, we have no items. Excuse me, general services rather, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. No, I know.
Okay.
In other words, there are some committees that should belong to one, but it has
That was
changed.
just under environmental services.
No, what I'm saying is, this item right here, there's several of them that are under my committee, but it is not categorically correct on our agenda.
But he's saying you didn't finish environmental services.
No, well, I did finish environmental services. We did? Okay. Okay.
I'll move that.
Okay, well, Mr. Trustman, how you gonna take over my item, Mr. Trustman? Let's start again. Any question? I apologize. Thank you. I misunderstood you. On number 2 for LDOT, which is in the city of Trustman, Do we have any questions? I'm assuming we don't. And so you wanted to move, is that right, Ms. Jerry? All right, and then you second?
Second, I have a question.
Okay.
Where's this at, Dave?
I believe,
Near Roosevelt
this is
Boulevard.
Highway 11. I don't know exactly where it is on Highway 11. I think 11, State Route 7 are the same. So I'll get you the exact address.
What are we doing? What is it for?
I think this is some work that we're doing out there, and mostly doing rehab work out there. So it's, I think this is work on a couple of lines and panels.
Okay.
I'll get you the details.
Second.
All right, and I'd like to make a statement, Commissioner, since we're talking about trust. I would encourage all of us to go out to, would you say that's downtown Trustful, Joe? That has, that entertainment district and all that? Fairness, yeah. I would encourage all of us, I think, I don't know how much the county has played a role in it, but I was sharing with that mayor that there's a lot of activity going on there, and I've been enjoying it. I told him that. So if you said this is on Highway 11, David, I don't know if it's a part of where. Right, well, that's why I was like, because I'm over there. Yeah. So is that what you're talking about?
That's what this says. That's what I was asking where at.
Do you think that that's what it is?
I don't think it's over in, it's, what is that, out towards Highway 11. I don't know if it's like back in that interchange.
Well, it just says near Roosevelt Boulevard, and that's Roosevelt Boulevard, the one that goes up around Target and then up the hill around to the back of it.
Right.
So that's what I was asking.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of great work that's going on over there. I just wanted to say that publicly. All right, so we got a first and second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and I'm sorry, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier, which is page 11, general services. We have one item. No, is it actually?
Yeah.
You sure? I don't think so, but that's okay. I wish you had that, because I don't have it in my thing before. But human resources, there aren't any items for that. And then there aren't any items for general retirement system of Jefferson County and personnel board. So those three items is part of that District 1 report. And lastly, we do have Nadine Johnson Foundation. There's a $3,000 support there. I'd like to, all right, been moved. Second, has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Thank you, sir and ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President, for obliging us. Which one are you talking about? Is there another? Board of Equalization. I'm sorry, Mr. President, when we get to, forgive me, that's not the end of my report. Hold on just a moment. Board of Equalization, which is my member service. Yeah, I said it didn't have anything. My member service. So, just for the record, Board of Equalization didn't have any items either. So, that's just, and now that we're in my report.
We have something from the coroner's office. I really like hearing from you.
We have the two different UAV contracts that the county has with UAV, the one for forensic pathology services and the one for toxicology services.
I voted for both.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. And now I want to, let me ask you, oh, your building will be going in there with the clinic one.
No.
They gonna do yours is separate.
We're gonna be separate. The county's looking at some property over near the airport.
Yeah, they talked about this.
Seems like it's going along, but I haven't heard for sure yet. If you know more, I'd love to know.
Yeah, but I talked to them. Okay, I was gonna say,
Hey, now,
Department of Community, Services, Dr. Hamilton, live.
We have quite a bit of items this morning. We have 10 items for your consideration. First item, authorizes the commission president to sign the letter of consent to the Alabama Finance Authority, granting permission to Regents Bench to transfer their partnership interest in Artesian Springs, which is located in Brighton, to the Community Services Program of West Alabama. Regents has taken it from tax credits, and they completely want out of the program, and so the Community Services Program of West Alabama will assume ownership of those units. Number two is a resolution authorizing the department to request and accept from the state of Alabama additional voluntary reallocation ERAP 2 funds in the amount of $25 million to be provided to the county if the Treasury denies the state's request not to lose the funds if they're not drawn. Number three, we've received all of our HUD grant agreements. The first one is for our CDBG program in the amount of $2,390,144. Number five is for our, the next one is for our ESG program for $211,049. And the next one's for our home program in the amount of $1,043,682. Number six is our program year 2021 paper, which is a consolidated annual performance evaluation. It simply identifies the programs that have been accomplished with our HUD programs. Number seven is our neighborly software rental assistance program, the software we're using to administer that program. The contract states that there will be additional fees for additional monies received. We received an additional $25 million. That contract will get 0.6% of those funds for $150,000. And I do want to note a pen and ink. Instead of that being $207,000, it should be $357,000. Number eight is a cooperation agreement with the city of Tarrant for a demolition project. It simply states the responsibilities of the county and the city of Tarrant, and that will be paid for out of our CDBG funds in the amount of $92,386. Number nine is for the Microdori 2 storm shelter. It's an amendment that essentially extends the time until December 31st. And number 10 is with ESA or Engineering Services Associates with Microdori storm shelter number 2, simply extend the time to December 31st.
Motion on.
I'll second. I have one question on item 2, where we're adding $25 million to the emergency rental assistance program. That's in addition to the 60 or 70 million that's
60.
already.
60 million, yes, sir.
So that's $85 million to
Yes, sir.
our assistance.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you something, but that ERAP is for county residents, so, and is this what we were talking about a couple months ago? I think it's about 3 years. Is it 3 years?
Yeah, for this year too, it ends at 2025.
Okay,
But this is new money that the state was unable to spend.
okay.
And this include Birmingham?
Does not.
It does not, but we can come up to an agreement that make it include.
If we can do that at your pleasure.
Yes, because we have enough money to, if we paid everyone utilities that was a rental in the county, we would still have money left. If we paid everyone, ain't nobody, right,
When you say.
and rental assistance. If we paid for everyone in the county that was renting, we would still have money left. We don't want money to go back. So if we have money left, I've been talking to Dr. Hamilton. I wanted to come up to an agreement to pull in people that needed the assistance from Birmingham.
Do they not have a program that
They
they're?
don't have a program, they haven't requested any additional.
They have not.
They have
So,
not.
no. So instead
Well,
of
why would that be on us?
because we don't want the money to go back. would you let the money go back when you can help people? I don't care if they stay in Timbuktu,
I just asked you a question.
okay, but I wanna get that on y'all.
I don't understand why they wouldn't ask.
I don't worry about that. I don't know why folks hungry. I don't know why people need assistance. If we got it, we could help them. Let's help the people.
Well, let me ask this question here. Then, wasn't this part of our discussion before?
Right.
I mean, a part of our discussion before in terms of 3 years and making sure that unincorporated areas and those areas that did not receive federal assistance would be the first to receive this money first?
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, do you have, well, who's gonna be the fiscal agent to receive this $25 million?
The county's the fiscal agent, but we have our partners.
Okay, then who do you find?
Partners of the Birmingham Urban League and Integration Ministries.
Okay. Do you know how much is going to each one?
I have to go back and look at those contract amounts, but a majority of it's going to the Birmingham Urban League.
What's the administrative fee on that?
15% will be Route 2, it's 10%.
15% of the 25 million?
Yes, sir, on the Route 2.
And the reason that I want to discuss this is because we don't want any of this money to go back when we can really help people and make a difference in the quality of life of people. It doesn't matter to me whether they stay where they stay at, because a lot of people and these children are in this condition not because of something that happened that they done. So the state don't nobody want to be bothered with this program. That's the reason the state did not put the time in to do it. But if we got a functioning program that's at the top 3 on the list, I think we have an opportunity we can help people. We should do it. But I want y'all to deep down in your heart, have an open mind, and don't think so much of Birmingham, think of the people. Because this is not coming out of the county pocket, period. We are not using really the county employees. We got the agency that's willing to to do this.
So, let me say this for the record, Madam Chair. I am a product of poverty. I understand. Nobody, it doesn't matter who think they know what about me, they don't. I'm a product of poverty. But what I'm asking is that if there's an ask of any city, I think it needs to be an official ask of that city, so that when it goes out to the general public, that the county who is assisting, that is clear who is initiating the assistance. That's critical. I don't care what city it is personally, because what I have experienced is that when people call personally or to the office, they are confused in terms of when we put this out, just like you hear that camera clicking, right? Okay, depending on how that is communicated with to the general public, then they will think there's $25 million, and then when it comes to who's supposed to receive what, then they don't know that the county is doing its folks first. And when I say its folks, let me just say this: the money that we've been given to assist our constituents, just like in this instance, Birmingham has been given money to assist residents also, and then they need to make an official ask. I don't care what city it is, right? And so that's why I'm saying that if we're gonna make an amendment, it needs to be an amendment that Barnett can finally write a good article that's gonna say what the county is doing. Yeah, you can write an article, and cause when you write, it's wonderful, it's awesome. When you write, so you can write an article.
Thank you.
And then Birmingham Watch can also do it, and it's gonna say that the county is doing it. And so that people know when they contact us, we don't wanna be responsible for what any city is doing. Okay, if we're doing it, then let's do it, but are we seeking to amend this contract now?
No, that's what we're trying to fix now. We wanna make sure it states that it is, the county is doing. We're trying to make sure the wording is right and the heading is correct.
I saw an article recently in the Trustful Tribune advertising. We had there's the seal, but it really doesn't say this is coming from.
That's why
This
we
is
are,
coming from Birmingham or.
this is why we are correcting the questions that have been asked. And I wanna say this, Urban League does not get the whole 15%. The county gets some of it, and Urban League get what, 5% of, how much percent?
No, the county gets about 3%, they get 12%.
They get 12%. So I want to make sure you understand that.
Urban League is definitely not my issue.
No, I know, but
What I'm talking about is, I'm asking, and Helen, if you and Kiara can assist with this, that if we are about to amend this agreement to be able to facilitate Birmingham residents, that need to come with a qualifier. And what that means is that first, we need to make sure that those constituents in those unincorporated areas are, first, since it's money that's already been given to the county, and the city of Birmingham has been given their money. They've been their allocation too, right?
they might gone.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, then they're gonna have to stand on their own, and we will support them, but that support needs to be clearly denoted to the general public.
That's why we don't have it in here now, because all of it is being prepared. I just wanted to bring it up to have it on y'all mind.
Okay, so are we gonna include some type of language
It's
that,
not now,
That's not what.
not now.
This is not an amendment.
so this just to accept the money?
This just accept the money.
Okay, well, I
It's
thought
not
you were
now.
trying to make the amendment now.
We gonna get all of it and present it to you. And we making all the corrections that y'all asked last time. We are making it now in order to present it to you. All we doing now is accepting this $25 million.
Okay, then you said,
Okay.
And
I got
moved and seconded?
We got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, thank you so much. Our family court. Mr. Fields. Mr. Fields? Okay, I can, okay, it's been first and second, for our family court. Someone want to say anything?
This is Shaniqua Hunter, Deputy Court Administrator on behalf of Mr. Fields. It's a contract amendment for some equipment technology for our electronic monitoring program, whereas the last contract and resolution didn't line up. And so with the bidding process, we needed to amend to continue payment for the remaining of the year.
All right, thank you. It's been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, youth detention, Ms. Gill. Monique?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is for Right Track Solutions. They are our future data management software system that I presented to the Commission during my last presentation back in May. They will assist us in better monitoring and tracking the services that we provide to our residents, the data management of those residents, and also any qualifiers that the Commission may need in the future, such as recidivism rates.
How long do you average having to, track these individuals?
I'm sorry, sir?
I was just wondering, this is a tracking device, right?
Not so much a tracking device, it's a data software system, it's a software platform. It gives us the ability to input our daily population of residents, the types of services that they're receiving, whether it's mental health, physical health, the types of medications that they're taking, if they're in any kind of courses or programs, anger management, behavioral health services. So we have a better idea of what we are offering to our residents and the benefits thereof. We also have the ability to track our staff training and professional development through the software as well. There are many mechanisms for it through customizations.
Okay, that helps, thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Hold on.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, I have,
What's your six?
Second.
first and second, all in favor,
Wait a
say aye.
minute. We can, please, before you call. Madam Chair, on item number 2, since the meeting asked, I'd like to add, isn't that, Madam Chair?
Yes, that's the
No,
issue,
look.
that's program.
It
Okay.
depends where you sit, I don't even know what they did doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure you should.
I really wish the county would
So-
invest in this, for all of our citizens.
So, Madam President, Madam,
We're gonna amend it.
I want to amend it to add, $5,000, excuse me, to that program specifically for Hooper City, since they have made an ask. So, since you already got a first and second, would you all like to withdraw and then make your motion again, just so that I can add that 5,000?
It's been first and
You might
second
want
for
to
the
withdraw your
amendment,
first.
for the amendment,
Okay.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I want to put a motion on the floor. For item 2, amended, to 30,000. For, $5,000 added from Commissioner Scales for Hooper City.
We just did that.
How she's saying this. I understood what she was saying. She's saying it's 30 now instead of just 25, if you added your 5.
And we still need to make a motion on that?
You already told us.
We already voted
I'm
on it.
not just making sure.
Oh, okay, all right, I understand.
And I want to say that I think that we should invest in a fitness program. I said this at least once a month. For the county employees, we have all this empty space. We need to invest in the health and well-being of our county employees. Besides insurance, it'll help with insurance, for our costs that we are paying out of our paycheck. If we put a fitness room in this building, and also we need to invest in a fitness program for our senior citizens. And it goes out to them, they already don't have anything, a lot to do in Jefferson County. It'll go into the rural areas and trustful in the areas that really need this type of program. And I just think we really need to invest in that county manager assistant.
They already,
But we
a
ain't.
lot of them already have it.
No, not in our community, we don't. We barely have somewhere to meet at.
A lot of them already.
Because y'all got those big old nice buildings and stuff. We in the old houses.
Well, you can still, exercise in an old house.
No. We barely have chairs to sit in. So I would like to, Dr. Hamilton to look into this.
Yes, ma'am.
On seeing how much it costs for us to invest into the people who want to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll be surprised. Have y'all ever went to all 32, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Have y'all visited all 32 senior citizen centers? I thought so. Probably me and Scales probably got the only one. So I would like county manager for us to look into that. But we gonna start the new year off healthy and for the employees. You see them walking around in this hallway. And when we got over at the 2121 building, all of empty rooms. And if other cities doing it, the city doing it, it's other cities that's doing this. So everybody wants to say about liability today. If they can do it, ain't nowhere in the world we can't do it.
So what I commit to, Commissioner, is that, Ms. Lanier, if, you can direct staff in terms of community services, since they, already deal with the senior programs, and then since our committee is, assigned to human resources and personnel, then what we'll do is we'll commit to that other end and working with whatever necessary staffing, to see what we can do to help with that.
That's the end of my report.
Administrative and Infrastructure Committee, Roads and Drainage.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have
several items on the agenda today. The first is,
I'll move 1 through 4.
thank you.
Have a motion. Second. All in favor say aye. County Attorney. Mr. Lawson.
Move 1 through 17.
Second.
All in favor say aye. MOU from the county manager, Mr. Lanier.
Yes, Commissioners, we have a MOU from Forever Wild Land Trust. It's an MOU for Forever Wild Trust to receive payments as partial compensation for ad valorem taxes lost from those lands located in Jefferson County.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Hold on, Mr. President. So for county manager, and it's more for public consumption. I spoke with the county manager as it relates to, some issues that we have as it relates to security. And so it's my understanding, Mr. Lanier, that you, in your new capacity, will be overseeing that, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so I wanted to make sure, for the record, because I know that the employees in that department listen very carefully to this meeting. And I want them to understand that we can't direct staff. However, we can hold the county manager accountable for it, and so he's assigned you with that task, and I'm looking forward to some much better results than some of the things that I know that they've been contacting Commissioner Tyson and myself about. And that's really important.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Got one other item, which is a careful approval for Gulf Coast portfolio project. This is just something that we have to approve, we have no liability.
Correct, this is something that but it's a requirement they have to get their funding.
They have to.
Say it one more time, because I don't
This
have
is
any institutional knowledge about it.
Yeah, these have come to you sometimes before. This is a requirement in order for this company to get funding for a project that they have. So it's a hearing that's required permission, but there's no liability, no responsibility. It's just a hearing that is required in order for them to get funding.
But it says issuance of bonds, so.
For them to get, right, for them.
It's kind of like a statutory validation.
Right, yeah, it's for them to do anything. There's no requirement or liability or obligation.
Okay, I'm gonna let you educate me to that,
Yeah,
outside of this meeting, because I'm still foggy on what this actually means, but okay for now. Because you're saying it doesn't help or hurt us, I get it, but I just wanna be educated on, what, when you start talking about an issuance of bonds in instances like this, it's just, I just need to be coached up on it.
Have a motion.
Well, this is the tax and equity.
We've had, these folks are out of state and they have certain requirements in order to receive to apply for their bonding, and so they have to do this and we give notice to the commission and have a public hearing. It doesn't have anything, this is just a requirement that they have in their state in order to receive.
And they'd have to get permission from us, even though it's a Gulf Coast portfolio project.
Right. Motion second. All in favor say aye.
I guess I'm not wrong.
Yeah, we've done this maybe 3 times since we've been commissioning this. I had the same question first time. Mr. Knight.
All right, finance, Ms. Dixon.
Move 1 through 5.
Have a motion?
Second.
One second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you, good report. Budget? Have a motion?
Yep.
Motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Have a couple of things from the circuit clerk. Do we have anybody from the clerk, Ms. Smith, are you on?
They get money out of this.
Some of the money are have to pay.
Motion second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Developmental Services, C 220045, Mr. Michael.
Yes, so this is a request. This property was zoned institutional 1 for a church, a large church campus that never came into fruition. It was rezoned such back in 2007. This is merely a request to kind of go back for compliance purposes, and then someone's interested in the property and hosting capital It doesn't 100% comply with the policy of the land use plan in this particular area because this was slated for larger development, primarily because this large church campus was supposed to be moving here, as well as another commercial development that again never came to fruition. Infrastructure has never been expanded to this property, and so the Planning and Zoning Commission found that it was acceptable, or that it was warranted rather, that they could approve this particular rezoning request. Again, this is just a compliance request, and then two, it is to allow for grazing of cattle on a large acreage tract down in McCall.
All right, do I have a motion on the cattle grazing?
So moved.
Second. Motion in a second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. 220046.
Okay, this property is out on Center Point Road, just north of Center Point, between Center Point and Pinson. It's a small island that still remains unincorporated. Several years ago, this property was rezoned from mobile home park to C1 commercial for a car lot. The folks who were running the car lot ran into some problems and wanted to cease that particular operation and wanted to engage now in an industrial operation of, they're doing roof trusses on the property, or they're requesting to do roof trusses on the property. This property lies in a floodplain, and so that one again raises the flag because you're not supposed to store any sort of floatable material out in the floodplain, which I believe this sort of operation would require or would have. Also, there is no industrial uses in this particular area, and it's slated in the land use plan for medium to high density residential. So it's not compliant with the land use plan. Two, you've got this floodplain issue to work with, and three, there's no precedent for any industrial zoning or any industrial use in this particular area. Now, if you do see on your zoning map, you do have some industrial across the street. It's a small portion that is zoned I-2, but that's used for a car lot. So there's no industrial use in this particular area, despite having a small piece of industrial zoning that's out there. And because of all this, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial.
Well, okay, we're just, do I have a motion to pass it to committee?
Just to move it to
Second. Have a motion in a second. All in favor, please say aye. Now, you said it was the land use plan says residential, is that what you said?
That is correct.
And why would you have a land use plan recommending residential in a floodplain zone?
I just work here.
All right. C 220054.
All right, this is a request for a hotel down off Eastern Valley Road across from the large shopping center there at near the interstate interchange with I-459. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. They've got some renderings of what the proposed would look like. The hotel itself will have access off Eastern Valley Road, even though it will have frontage on McCall Road as well. Again, because this area is sort of rapidly growing and transitioning, and it's compliant with the land use plan, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval.
It's low in there too, is it not?
Sir?
You get low in there?
Low?
That's behind that,
No. This is over the gas stations at the corner. Then you've got the car wash. It used to be an old house, and they converted that into a car wash. This is the next property over. As far as being low, it's not like there's nothing in it that's floodplain or anything like that. But
you have McCall Road that you have,
it's actually taking out one single-family residence that's fronting McCall Road.
okay,
Do I have a motion?
so much.
Motion. Second. All in favor, please say aye. C 220058.
All right, this is a request to go from A1 to C1 for a car wash. This is located near the intersection of Highway 79, and I believe it's Swing Hall Road. The business itself will actually have frontage on Main Street in Pinson. This site has been vacant. It's been sort of the site has a history with regards to some, how do we say this? Some activity that wasn't necessarily permitted. It's
unsuitable fill material.
He's smart, kids. He's smart. But yes, sir, that's what's going on. And part of the conditions on this particular rezoning request is to remediate that situation. Other than that, it complies with the county land use plan. P&Z recommended approval again with those conditions.
I'll move it.
All in favor,
wildlife just due to that endangered species that's in the area, the vermilion dart.
So they're gonna do the ADM voluntary cleanup.
They're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to go through FEMA to get all that
It
done.
seems like a long road to travel for a car wash, D-22-0059.
Yes, sir, this is a request just to remove split zoning along Highway 79 in Pinson. Back in the 50s and 60s, they rezoned just a strip along the frontage of the road, and these folks are just using it as residential. There's no other commercial uses that's right here in this area.
What was your opposition?
There was an opposition to this. Should have been. 59?
Okay. Yeah. Something in red, maybe I'll look at the wrong.
Have a motion. Motion. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Okay.
D-22-0061.
We've discussed this with, in fact, the county commission passed a resolution to initiate this case a few months ago. This is to modify some covenants associated with Jeff Met Park, notably or specifically dealing with the requirement for berms along the highway, along Old Tuscaloosa Highway. We found that to be counterproductive to the goals and what we're trying to do with the expansion of the roadway. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission heard the case. There was some substantial opposition that showed up at the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing. And they, of course, didn't make a recommendation. Staff, however, is making a recommendation to modify the covenants rather than just remove them, so that they read that a 50-foot buffer will be required along portions of the development where you're adjacent or across from residential, and then also that any access is approved by the Department of Roads and Transportation.
And this is a requirement that will eliminate the need for
the berms.
Berms.
Yes.
Why was the berms put there in the first?
It was something, I believe, that was offered at the time from the applicant, which was JCEIDA, the attorneys. And again, that was something that was, I believe, required in the first phase of the development of Jeff Met Park. And so, again, they just...
And I think the purpose of that was to...
Well, and again, it's just to shield and to... But again, that's why we're recommending that we still keep a 50-foot buffer, but it's not necessarily requiring for the verbiage. Because what we found is that as we're expanding the roadway, what happens is that you have a berm on this side, and a berm on this side, so that basically creates a bowl. And so now you're going to have all this water and stuff on the road. Heather can further elaborate, but that was the need for this particular request.
Well, on the graduate of this one.
So the intention here is to provide for a context appropriate buffering rather than being highly prescriptive for a method that doesn't necessarily suit the site. So the intention is to provide the same amount of visual screening and buffering, but we can do that through a variety of treatments that work with the topography and negate the need to conflict with the drainage or require very extensive and expensive infrastructure that we could otherwise design around.
Yeah, you widen the road, you gotta move the barns into it, right?
Well, and we're widening, so when the original covenant was promulgated, we had the existing facility, we have a design currently being worked on that comes after, so in phase with the intersection improvements that will widen this to a 4-lane divided road. So the infrastructure is being significantly upgraded and changing the character and the issues, and so the engineering strategies we use to address that would be different.
Well, we're gonna take the berms out.
So we want to.
Where are we gonna
So
take the berms to?
So the intention of the original covenant was to provide berms and visual screening or planted buffers. We can still achieve through a tiered approach with landscape and tree plantings a much better visual screening, right? So when we're trying to buffer a building that's 50 feet or more tall and it's 1,000 feet out there, a 6-foot berm is not going to do much for you. By doing tiered plantings in coordination with the park, right, because they have landscape covenants, that allows us to get screening at the building, screening in the intermittent parking area, and then more appropriate screening at the roadway. So we have the opportunity to work that into whatever drainage features are occurring as a function of their site development and the grading plans that are going there to be more context appropriate. And really the problem with it was not the intention for screening, the problem was it was so highly prescriptive in one type of treatment only that was really taking away our opportunity to do what was best for the site.
On top of that, not only the expansion of the road, looking at properties and looking at the Cali property in particular, knowing that there's maybe some drainage issues there, with the roundabout that's going in place. I think it's SANE that's currently looking at how can we better handle water, working with the Corps of Engineers, how can we better handle stormwater, knowing it's an issue everywhere. There's another piece of property that was purchased to support the roundabout, but then also how can we better handle the runoff and making sure that it's a holistic approach to it instead of, onesies and twosies. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd be in favor of supporting this. And so I move it.
Motion, all in favor, please say aye. Thank you. All right, Mr. Morrison, we have that outstanding new business issue that we voted to vote on.
Yes, sir.
Give us a little.
This is a Family Dollar in Forestdale. They're requesting for an off-premise beer and wine license. And we've seen this in recent years where the dog stores are coming to do this.
Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Morrison, if you don't mind, forgive me, I was taking care of something. So we just approved 0061.
We just moved it to the agenda, yes.
You just moved it to the agenda. Okay. All right, because, excuse me, Ms. Morrison, I did have a question as it relates to, I know it's JCEIDA, but is there a particular reason why we need to relax restrictions?
I think we just had that discussion.
Forgive me, then repeat it.
No.
Okay, someone can repeat it.
She can.
Okay, do you mind repeating it, since he refuses to?
I couldn't repeat it.
Well, that's okay.
There was
That's
some,
all right. Here it
berms, and now we're gonna take out the berms and we're gonna tear it 50 feet. Yeah.
Okay, and this is what you were saying, basically it was not a buffer enough, is that?
I would say.
So the original covenant was highly specific in the type of buffer. And the issue that we are running into is that it is creating conflicts with the site drainage, and it's also not compatible with the projects that we have coming up. So there are ways to meet the intent of what the covenant is, which is to provide a visual screening and a buffer, but by using plantings and by building it into the site development plan so that it is context sensitive and appropriate, rather than a guess and just a 6-foot berm, that is going to cause us to fight drainage as this development goes on. So it's not, the intention is not to remove the buffer, it is to do it in a context sensitive way.
So forgive me, Heather, because I was distracted. I guess the question is, and forgive my ignorance in advance, what is the project that is being developed on this project?
So there's multiples. These covenants were applied on almost a 2-mile stretch of roadway. And when you're talking about topography and drainage that occur over a 2-mile stretch of roadway, it's challenging. So in the section where the Smucker's development is going on, we would actually be creating a bowl when the natural drainage is to go off down the JCEIDA side of the property, which means that we now have to put very substantial infrastructure in along the road to gather that, collect it, and convey it. We're also now having to put in additional facilities to retain some of those volumes and collect them rather than just allowing the natural topography to do its work. And we are also, which is also actually putting us in a position where we're having to remove some of the native vegetation, right? We'd rather keep a 40-foot tall tree than install a 6-foot tall buffer or berm. So what we're asking for is just a modification to the highly specific nature of that particular covenant to allow us to make the best choice for the site-specific condition.
Yeah, but I'm asking more specifically, what is proposed for an existing project that is on this property?
So One of those involves the Lowtown intersection project. So all of Old Tuscaloosa is getting widened. And then we're doing intersection improvement projects at Lowtown. It ties in at Macashan. And then all of Lowtown will be widened to a 4-lane divided road. It's currently a 2-lane rural road.
So it's basically the park, so it's everything from Grupo Antolin to the Graham property that they have, that they lease out, to Gestamp and Publix and their distribution, Home Depot. So those are all the ones that are currently in place. This just helps to improve that and for future projects where Gulf Distributing and Smuckers, the land that was sold to Southern, and then the property we still have available with the alley property.
Well, I can tell that it seems as though it's something new that should be forthcoming, or is forthcoming, and we're trying to prepare for it in addition to the existing projects that are there. Like this is some sort of enhancement.
Well, no, so the covenant predated the road projects. And so now with the planned infrastructure improvements, they're conflicting.
You follow when you the covenant?
2018.
18, yes.
That wasn't so long ago.
No, but it's definitely causing conflict with the roadway widening projects.
Okay, the reason why I said that, because I think when the Smuckers project came up, I thought there was an ask of whether or not we would have to do additional dollars there in terms of right-of-way acquisition and some other things. So is this a part of that?
No, it doesn't involve
It's
right-of-way
separate.
acquisition. This is an improvement that was required on the property adjacent to the roadway. The problem is anytime you put a 6-foot dam adjacent to the roadway and the natural drainage goes that direction, you create conflict. And the intention of that barrier or that buffer was to provide for visual screening of proposed development behind it. So we have much better ways of doing that without creating conflict or problems for the roadway, and that's really what we're asking, is to be given the opportunity to apply best engineering judgment for what treatments we are selecting in which areas so that they match with the topography, they match with the roadway project, and they're much more sustainable and cost effective.
Okay, any other questions I have? Is that okay?
Well, the original park, I think, was probably less than half a mile that we did these parks. We expanded the park way over.
And it actually sits in an area where you drain this way rather than this way, and so it's much less of a problem.
Is there any further discussion on C 220061? All right. Well, that's already moved. Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're back to you.
Yes, the beverage cases for Family Dollar out in Morrisdale. We've heard this before, it came for us a couple of years ago, and again, I know Commissioner Scales had asked specifically for some specific information regarding a security plan, as well as a business, or a site improvement, site maintenance plan that was requested. I made them aware of that. They're supposed to be getting me something, they've got me something today. But I believe they're going to be bringing that to the key rate with them. At this particular location, you've got off-premise beer and wine sales across the street, Piggly Wiggly. Every business at the corner of Heflin Avenue has one as well, including a Dollar General that's within that shopping center at that intersection. So.
Well, I know that we called for unanimous consent, so I'm not gonna stop you, Commissioner Lambert.
We already got it. Now we're just on the.
No, we didn't already have it, because I just could have objected it, and it would have failed.
Already got it
You
to
already,
discuss, to bring up for a vote to move it to the agenda.
okay,
That's
well,
what we're.
Commissioner, what I'm saying is, the last time that this came up for, consideration, they were supposed to provide us with a security plan. And That's why I said I'm not removed from my district, and I don't forget very much. So, and they never did, which is the reason why we ended up denying it, because that's what that time David Russell was coming before us. But we've also still contacted some other folk in the area, and I'm just trying to figure out, what would make this proposal any differently than what they had before, because they did not provide a safety plan. And it's an issue over there in that community. When you add beer and wine to it, and they already have some issues with keeping the area clean, then why would we add to that? And especially when you're talking about the public safety end of it. And it's on the main road. So since you said we've already gotten past that, I would ask this commission that either we vote no until they provide a safety plan for those individuals who are going to make purchases in that store, and that they're safe.
Is this up for a public hearing?
It is. Public hearing has been advertised.
Do I have a motion to move it to the agenda for the public hearing? So move it.
That's it, beer line.
Yeah, as far as there. So, but they still have, I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the motion though. I'm speaking to the motion though.
All right, now we have a second, now we'll have discussion.
No, well, I wanted to speak to the motion. What I'm saying respectfully, Commissioner, since this is in my district, I'm telling you that the last time this came before us, they, as in the Family Dollar establishment, was supposed to provide a safety plan for that store, considering that there have been some previous issues there. They failed to do that, and now months later, we're being asked again to consider it, but we still have no safety plan in place.
Is that store, do they keep outside clean like that?
No, that's what I was just
Well, they
saying.
don't keep them clean over there where we at, they nasty.
Yeah, so that's all that I'm saying, Mr. Chairman of this committee, is that just be mindful that we ask that. And matter of fact, we proposed that they had a representative to come. The gentleman came, he just never returned back with the safety plan. So I just wanted the commission to be aware of the history, the historical piece of it.
Okay, and Commissioner, I do want you to know that we've let them know this. Prior to them applying, in conversations we've had since then, we've let them know that specifically the commission will be looking for that information.
Do they have cameras?
But they were supposed to already submit it to.
Because they don't have cameras in our area. I wonder if they have cameras in their area. They get robbed every other day anyway.
Was there opposition?
Public opposition, I know Mr. Russell was here. I don't recall there being any other opposition. And again, we sent out notices for this back for the November 17th hearing. And then we had to renotice because that one was canceled. Because that was the meeting right after the organizational meeting with the county commission. So we sent notices. That notice has been out for about 6 weeks out there. And like I said, our office hasn't received anything from anyone.
What I'll do is I will see if we can have someone to either attend or reduce it to writing. But even so, they still did not bring that safety plan, considering that there had been some prior illegal activity on the property.
Now, you said there's a Dollar General in adjacent area?
Yes.
Are they required to have a safety plan?
That was not required of them when they were granted their beverage license. No.
But I'm sure the one that is adjacent is in a city.
No, ma'am.
What is it? Is it unincorporated Jefferson County? Well, I mean, I tap it in too. If they're in the commission district, obviously they may have already been approved for their beer and wine license before I got here. But I know this one in Forestdale is an issue, and it was brought to my attention, and it's on the main road, it's on the main thoroughfare, and they don't keep it clean, and there are some issues there, and that's the reason why the safety component, and we told the representative when they were here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and the reason why when it came back, it failed that time because they failed to do what was asked, which was to provide a safety plan for the store. You all need to know too, at these, and I'm being very careful of what I say about a particular business, but I will say for this entity, they do have a history of having, issues at their establishments, and they do not have security in any of them, and they are, you know, from patrons being robbed, they having certain type incidents to happen. It's an issue. And the only thing that was asked was that you at least have at least one police officer or deputy or something in place, so that the citizens know that if anything occurs illegally, or there's some type of attempt to do something illegal, that it could be addressed. But they don't have any security in any of the stores. You go in basically in the store at your own risk.
Sheriff, do you have any knowledge of these kind of incidents? I mean, I know this is an unfair question to ask Nicole, but on top of your head, is this a problem area for your guys?
I don't have any knowledge of it right now.
All right, well, there's a motion and a second to move it to the agenda for a public hearing, and since the public hearing is already set and scheduled, looks like you're gonna have a lot to talk about on Thursday, should that guy show back up.
Yeah, well, I don't have anything to ask for. Where's the public safety? Where's the safety plan?
And if he doesn't have.
And as a matter of fact, if it's a
then I'll
different
make a
individual.
motion to deny.
Okay, and I'm saying, even if it's another individual, like you said, you made them aware that this is what we asked, and they still obviously have no intentions of doing anything about it. So sometimes, even no answer is an answer.
All right, well, I have a motion and a second. Do I have a vote? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Move it to
Thank
the
you all
agenda.
for hearing everything in its entirety.
And, thank you, Heather, for.
Thank you, Lou. Sheriff, do you have
General,
anything you want to do? Oh, you still got one?
Oh, yeah, I was still plotting through.
Good guidance, general services.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll say.
All right.
I move the community grant.
I have two grants. All in favor, please say aye. Motion.
Moving items, 1 and 2.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Impact triple.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
This one here for the city of Center Point.
Yes.
Bring that item back up, please, since you voted in the affirmative. So.
All right. Will you vote in the front?
I did too, so I'll bring the item back up, Mr. Chairman. On this, tell me a little bit more about this, because I might want to
Center
give.
Point Senior Citizen Center for $1,000 for their holiday event.
Okay, so I'm gonna match that by 1,000. Alright, so instead of 1,000, 2,000, and then,
We'll let you know, we'll send it.
do we need to go ahead and make a vote on the amendment?
All right, the motion's amended.
So
I
the item-
second again. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll be by to collect your
Yeah,
$1,000.
you can go with the Santa Claus, I'll be with you.
That ends my report. I think, one other thing, if I might add,
Sure.
let's remember about Mark Wilson and our prayers.
Absolutely.
As well as Falcon, which is lost.
Our sheriff is here. And just, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. I'm here just in case there was some information going out about the county jail and the Birmingham jail combining. I just want to let you know there is nothing so far in writing. There's nothing so far that has been done to make it happen. We're just in negotiations. I just want to put down some of the rumors that may be out there to clarify everything. That there is nothing right now other than just some talks that's going on. So if you hear something, you can check with me to make sure if it's happening or not. But right now, there is nothing in writing. There's nothing that's going forward. We just communication and talks right now.
Who's involved in the talk, Sheriff?
Well, we had a conversation last week with you there also, but there's nothing going forward right now at this particular moment. I have been talking with one of the attorneys over in Birmingham, Ms. Smiley, but we have not come together to where we have been able to make an agreement or anything at this point. We're just talking some things out. We did have a a chance to talk with the, legal department last week also with the judge. And, we're finding out some things that, may not work. Let's find out some things that may work. But, it's a process. It's not something that is etched in stone right now. We don't have anything that's written down, one thing that we've gone forward with at this point. But we're trying to put out all the rumors that's out there and say, hey, there's nothing, to comment on right now about
Well,
it
it
together.
kind of hit us by surprise the last time, so.
But it's, I think, some things were put out there that were not factual.
There was an agreement that we looked at.
That was from the city. It didn't have anything to do with the state.
I understand why, I'm just saying.
So all things being equal, then, Sheriff, I don't know if this should be, a question for you or really this commission. I'm unaware, you said that there was a meeting that took place, was it here?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm unaware of a meeting that took place here as a commission. Am I assuming there were commissioners that were at this meeting?
That's correct.
Okay, and it was discussed about the jail?
There was some discussion about jail.
Okay, anyone want to share, since I didn't know anything about the meeting? Otherwise, I would love to attend, so I don't know anything about it.
It's my community. And the, mayor came over and wanted to talk about it. Just a brief discussion. But it was something, gave some, contracts. It was ideas that the city had, brought up, but nothing had been accepted by the sheriff department or the county.
But is there any particular reason why all commissioners were not invited?
I don't know about that. You have to talk to the president of the commission about that. I just been told.
Is there any particular reason why all commissioners were not asked to?
You don't have more than two.
So let me ask you something. Did you not say
If
that?
you got the president of the commission and the head of the liaison to the sheriff, you have the sheriff, you have the mayor, that's about, and the county attorney, that's about what you have.
Okay, but did you not say Commissioner Knight was here?
Yes.
Okay, so that's three.
He walked out.
Okay. Now, did he ever sit down
Last
in the meeting that you had last week?
No, it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about, no, I'm saying the meeting last week.
He was here.
What, okay,
So that we're clear before we go down the path, it's not anything that is done relative to informational stuff. I just wanna make sure, I don't wanna have anything where anybody is going in any direction that's not accurate. There was an information session about what possibly may be coming up in the future, but when you say meeting, make sure that there was not a meeting of the commission, it was information. I wanna make that point.
So even if it's informational, you still had three commissioners present.
Sure.
I wasn't privy to it. Let me just speak in terms of the reason why, which has nothing to do with you, Sheriff, because you just walked into the beehive, that's all. But truthfully, I learned about it because, excuse me, we having one meeting at one time?
No, three.
Okay, well, you share it, because whatever's good for the goose, everybody need to hear. My point is that a news station actually called me as it relates to this discussion. I had no information, since it was an informational session. I had no information about it. I didn't know anything. I didn't have a clue what they were even talking about. So I thought, in the best interest of the commission, that I didn't need to speak to it. Number one, it's not my committee. In addition to it, I didn't have, as you said, the facts. And so, what needs to happen moving forward, the election is over. There's only one sheriff, no Republican, Democrat. I'm only asking for myself something that I think is this sensitive in nature. And we talked about the jail how many times, especially when we had these COVID dollars, when we've had these opera dollars. And when you start talking about a life, you can't quantify a life, because there's gonna be some cost associated with not only housing them, but medical needs, that goes for mental assessments and everything else. So if we're gonna do something, I would hope that we would move together collectively as a commission, and that we don't have some commissioners who are privy to a meeting and those who are left out. Now, one thing I will say is that, I wanna say this for the record, especially because media is here. Now, we're gonna see if it makes the edit, okay? But let me be clear, the majority of the homicides that were committed in this county did not come from the county. It is the city of Birmingham. And if the city of Birmingham is making a request, then I think that all 5 commissioners need to have intelligence from the person or entity that's making the act. And so then I don't have to call anyone just to figure out what's going on. As a commissioner, you need to know. And I'm gonna say this, I pat you on the back, Sheriff, publicly, because it may not mean anything to you all, but to have 3 separate incidents to happen at my home, whether you take it hard or not, it don't matter to me. But he will tell you that from sending pictures to everything else, and you have no show from the Birmingham police. I'm gonna say that I appreciate him and his department at this table publicly, because that's not just myself. You got a state representative in my area that the person broke in, and they were there also, and they had to seek outside help in order to be able to get some assistance. What's happening is real, and I think that Birmingham is on its 136th homicide. Am I correct in what I'm saying? At least the last I read, it's 136. 141 was the most when you had BAQ, which was a game. Okay? And so I want to say that to us as commissioners. I hope that we are giving our sheriff the benefit of the doubt. That if something that is to be done moving forward, everybody's going to be privy to the same information. And like I said before, the race is over. So this is your sheriff. That's the end of that. And I you know, I hate he had to feel like he had to come in and clarify. Sometimes that is needful. But that's the only way I found out about it was through a television station calling me, asking me about it. And I would appreciate moving forward that we have firsthand information right from the horse's mouth in terms of what's happening with this jail. Because I have some questions, but some of those questions can be eliminated if we're discussing these things in a setting that needs a lawful setting that allows us to find out what's going on. But I will tell you something. If we don't invest into human capital, we can be putting up all these brick and mortar projects all we want. It don't offend you until it shows up at your house. And when it shows up at your house, and we play the kind of politics we play, I can just tell you, if someone comes to your home and you there, that means that they don't mind dying and they don't mind killing you. So I'm going to say publicly that I thank the sheriff and his department, because I know at least on 2 separate instances, if it were not for those deputies coming through there, person would have got away. And so, and he knows it's not a lie. You don't have to embellish. It's enough crime going on in Birmingham. You don't even have to embellish it. Just tell the story the way it is. And it's sufficient. So I thank you, Sheriff, for coming today. I want to see exactly what this is going to look like, because obviously, you know, we're more into housing prisoners than we are educating citizens, so they never have to see that and experience that. That's all I have to say.
And I apologize, I misspoke. That meeting was on December the 5th, which was a week ago yesterday. So it was last week. So yes, I was.
Yeah, so, but I want to be in attendance for myself.
Absolutely. Once we get our fact-finding information and everything together, we'll be glad to come before the commission and have the commission involved in everything that we do. So I don't think that the commissions are being left out in any kind of manner, any kind of way. So it just gives us an opportunity, the chance to
even in the preliminary, part of it, because being that we came from the city, I can only speak for myself. My question would be, if there is an issue in jail, and it has been for a very long time.
It's really not just about the city, what we're looking to try to do is try to do a regional jail. And I think everybody gets stuck on one part about just Birmingham, but it's not just Birmingham, it's something bigger than just Birmingham. It's covering the whole entire county to try to do, we need a new jail. And so some of the other municipalities need one also. Instead of building all these multiple jails, we can just build one jail that will take care of the whole county, and that's what we're looking at doing going forward to make sure that we have an adequate jail to take care of the whole entire county.
And that should be the starting point of the discussion, actually.
Well, I appreciate the sheriff coming and,
Thank you.
filling us in with that. That was what it was.
And
And
sure.
you didn't get him out of it.
No.
No.
I figure when there's information,
Just information.
Sure.
No, but
The sheriff was
but
part of
information
a
is
study that was done by the Mayor's Association
Yes,
in
absolutely.
Florida. And that's kind of where, there's some, some Bessemer, what's the other one? It's not Pleasant Grove, it's Hueytown, that had done a new one, but I think that's a long-term goal. But to bring it all together, that's a great idea.
Because again, when I hear regional jail, I'll be very candid with you all, I hear mega prison. Like the 3 mega prisons that's getting ready to be built in the state of Alabama. And personally, if we're gonna build it, I wanna know what these other cities are doing. That's not incumbent upon you, cause probably some of these same folks in that same association you were referring to were blaming you for all the crime that's happening in the county. So I just wanna know, moving forward, I don't wanna be on the back end of knowing anything. I want, if there's a meeting to be had, then everybody needs to have, I don't care who calls the meeting, I'm saying everybody need to be sitting in there, and I'm saying myself, I'm speaking only for me. And I will also say this, I still advocate for human capital investment, because if we got more going into building a jail or anything similar, we got less money that's going into these schools to educate them, that's all you're gonna have is you're gonna be building multiple regional facilities.
We do have
I'm
programs
not talking about you.
that do educate those that are incarcerated, and that's part of what we do. And if we had more people there, there would be more opportunity to train and place these individuals in livable wage jobs for livable wages. So that is what we're looking to do. They have that opportunity to help the community by returning them back to the community with great paying jobs. So that is something that we're looking to do to help change the community.
Because I want you to get in front of us, Sheriff, and really, you standing at the podium, but it's not really projected towards you. You doing the best you can do with what you have and what support you do have. But I'm just gonna tell you that until we have an agenda that's more about human capital and making sure that people, we stopping this prison, this school to prison pipeline, until we start looking at that in its totality, we just gonna be housing more and more folk that if they were exposed to a different type of life, they wouldn't have to have, and I can speak from firsthand knowledge. But that's all I wanted since you were there. I wanted to thank you publicly, and I wanted to make sure that you knew in this setting and for the record, if any meeting is to be had, I would appreciate my colleagues and all involved making sure that every commissioner is at the meeting. I don't care who comes to the meeting, or who's the presenter, or whatever. That's irrelevant. I just want to be able to know exactly what we're doing. I believe that we need to get tougher as relates to when we do lock these individuals up so that they're not getting out the same day you put them in. It's a lot of things that need to be had, which I think is more county attorney that we might again ask for additional support in terms of law enforcement with the legislature. Yeah, because see, if we don't have, the justices on board with us, meaning the judicial part of it, no sooner than the criminals are locked up, they're gonna be let out. So, whatever that is, and whatever sidebar meetings that are had, I just appreciate my colleagues making sure that I'm aware so I can be there. And that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see that.
Thank you,
Thank you for everything you did.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That concludes our committee meeting. We do have a request for an executive session, from our county attorney. Opinion that
Economics, yeah.
correct.
If you wanted to manager or defer anything, anything before.
Yes, actually, Commissioners, Helen, our Public Information Officer, has a video that she wants to show you that show how we serve the citizens of Jefferson County. This is just one of others to come.
Yeah, just real quick, since we talked so much about senior services last week, I shot a little video with Janice about how they serve the citizens of Jefferson County. I just wanted to play it for you guys, I promise.
We do a lot of services for Jefferson County. We have a senior service division here. We're small, but we make a big impact in county. We try to serve the seniors through educational meetings that we have on a quarterly and a monthly basis, where we bring speakers to different locations, whether it's a senior center, a church organization, to provide health topics for seniors that they might be interested in. We also do a monthly networking lunch, where we have it at a certain location in Birmingham. It's the same time, it's the second Tuesday every month, and we introduce new programs and services to the community that seniors may not be aware of, professionals on life. And the great thing about it, all of our events are free. We don't charge for anything, you just have to register to attend. Some of our meetings we do provide lunch. We also provide incontinence supplies for seniors who do not have caregivers, whether it's a formal or informal caregiver. We can refer to other programs, so we provide incontinence supplies, nutritional supplements to seniors who just need a little extra help. Yeah. We also provide field trips. They can go on field trips and have a great time. We also do a senior Jefferson County pageant. It's for ladies in the 60 years and older who are not shy and a little sassy and just doesn't mind getting out and sharing their experience with the community. It's a great event, and we love to have the ladies, and we have it in spring this year. It'll be in April 28th at the Bell Auditorium. So we're really looking forward to that, and we're looking for contestants. So if you are interested, we would love to have you. Just please contact us. In the summer, through August, we provide fans, senior fan distribution. When it gets hot, the fans go out, we give seniors fans that they can use in the home. We got people cool. Sometimes people have repairs or they can't afford to get their air fixed. We provide those fans to them. So we have an array of services. Also, we conduct free confidential memory screenings. We are an Alzheimer's memory screening site for the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, and we can go anywhere and do confidential memory screenings where you actually need for the score. If you need further screening, you actually go to your doctor and take your score to your doctor. But if you don't need further screening, you can use it as a bragging card to your family and friends. That's how it's great. So this memory screening is free. Everything we do is free. We also have an information specialist that can provide information and resources to the community. We can refer you to our programs or any program that you don't. Also, we can refer you to other programs, and she can give you resources, whether it's through our website or through calls. We can also mail out information to you. We also have a social worker that can do geriatric case management. We have so many seniors in Jefferson County who live out themselves, don't have family members, they don't have any type of family support, and they're struggling. A lot of times people are not aware of what's going on. Some of them are in the homes, they don't get meals every day. Some of them go without electricity. Some of them go without the basic needs. They can't get their medication. And sometimes they have neighbors that are helping them. But we have social work that can go out assess their needs and determine what their needs might be, and can make those referrals to programs and services to their needs. So we're thankful that. We also do a lot of social events in Jefferson County. We partner with the city of Birmingham to do our senior expo. We have it every year in the fall. We just had one this past September. And it's where we bring resources in the community under one umbrella, and where we seniors can go and talk to vendors directly and get the information they need without having to call on the phone to find anything that they need. And we have that every year. We also have, what we have coming up is the Christmas holiday cheer celebration. It's going to be next Tuesday, actually, next Wednesday, December 14th at 9 a.m. at the Bauer Auditorium. We had a great time. We're partnering with the Jefferson County Commission, the city of Birmingham, we're partnering with the city, Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, United Way Central Alabama to put on this great event, and we're looking forward to it. We have, I guess, 900, almost 1,000 seniors coming to this event. And we have some great entertainment, giving away some great prizes, and we're going to have a great holiday hot meal. So we ask you all to come out, and we're just looking forward to this event. I'm Janice Williams, Coordinator of Senior Citizen Services for Jefferson County Community Services. And this is how we serve the seniors of Jefferson County.
Y'all can see some of the things that they do. I would like for y'all to come out tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Come out prepared to help and talk. I want you to communicate with our senior citizens where you can actually see and feel exactly what they need. We just serviced a family in Bellevue Heights. It was 2 senior citizens that had been eating just like canned goods soup every day for 2 years. We just got them signed up for Meals on Wheels, and we did it within 24 hours. And they are being serviced. It's a father, it's a lady and a man, a husband and wife. But this is the type of condition that some of our seniors are in. They don't have children, and the neighbors had actually been also helping them, giving them meals. It was brought to our attention, and we went out, and I had an opportunity to go out and talk to them and have them signed up. Now we got them transportation back and forth to the doctor. They was trying to catch the bus on walkers, and it was just, they was in just bad shape. But senior services came through, got them signed up, got them transportation back and forth to the doctors. And I would like for y'all to just come out tomorrow and just hang out with them. If you just have 30 minutes, if you could just come and just spend some time with them tomorrow from 9 to 1. And there we have someone coming from each one of our districts. We have hundreds of people coming from our districts. It's not coming from one area. It's almost 1,000. We're looking for 1,000 plus.
That's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, because we got to look at the walk-ins that's gonna come in. We're not turning down anyone. So y'all just come out and just talk to them, please.
If you go to the internet, you can see me dancing at a senior citizen.
I know, you came to the pool party.
I know. I didn't get to the pool though.
Yeah.
So there's too many people looking at me funny, like.
Tomorrow, it's great that it's happening, but everybody be weather aware tomorrow. There's also supposed to be some weather coming through with a significant amount of rain that may cause some.
But I think the big stuff's gonna go close.